Vision which stands for foreign exchange. So we buy and we sell currencies online. And we buy a currency, we sell a currency online, then you make profit. It is an over 5 trillion financial market and it started since the Stone Age. This is what always happens. Some people, they move around telling people Forex investment platforms, and most people, they actually contact me and they say Forex will collapse. Forex started since the Stone Age and it will never collapse. It started with trade by barter, exchanging one commodity for another. It moved to cowries, and now we are actually trading currencies. Now, how do you make money trading Forex, trading the financial market? It is simple. When the value of one currency increases, then you get to the bank, you do an exchange, you may make profit. Let me explain this. Now, the value of dollar is really, really high. I think it's 620 francs per dollar. Imagine some few months back, the value of $1 was about 560, 570 francs. So if you look at this thing logically, you see the fluctuation in the price. So we take the advantage of the price fluctuation and we trade and make some good profit. In essence, if you had maybe $500, 500,000, you go to the bank and exchange for dollar maybe some 2 months back. Then now you go back and exchange that same 500,000. Let's assume 500,000 is about, let's say $1,000. You go, you do that same exchange, meaning 560 to 620, that is about 60 francs. So if you exchange $1,000, 1,000 times 60 francs is how much? It's about 60,000 francs. Or even more, even 1,000 times 60. Yes, it's 60,000. Now, meaning you make 60,000 in the comfort of their homes without doing anything. You just go, you exchange, you come back, and when the price increases, you exchange and you make profit. So that is Forex, and that is how we trade Forex. Now, Forex is more lucrative because it is what we call a leverage system. We'll get to that. So basically, that is the simple dynamics, the simple mechanism in which Forex works, and that is how we make profit trading the financial market. Now, Forex is different from maybe stock, it is different from commodities, it is different from indices. With Forex, we trade currencies only. You can have a currency USD, United States dollar. You can have a currency, the Japanese yen. You can have a currency, the Australian dollar. Those are actually currencies. But you have things like stock. Gold is stock. You have Apple is stock. IBM is stock. WhatsApp is stock. Maybe Facebook is stock. So you have so many different things. You have stock, you have currency, you have commodities, you have indices and the rest. Before these currencies only. Now the good thing is, if you know how to trade Forex, you can trade any other thing. That is so far the good thing. If you know how to trade Forex, you can trade any other thing. If you know how to analyze your Forex chart, you can analyze any other chart. Forex chart is the most complicated chart. And that is why with technical analysis, most often we concentrate on the Forex chart. Now, that is it. Now, what is traded in Forex? As I already said, we trade currencies, and there are different currencies. So there are actually 8 major currencies that we trade in Forex. The CFA francs is not found in the Forex market. So these are the major currencies. You have the AUD, which is the Australian dollar, CAD, Canadian dollar, CHF, Swiss francs, EUR, Euro, GBP, Great Britain pound, JPY, Japanese yen, NZD, New Zealand dollar, and USD, United States dollar. So these are the symbols, and these are the countries. You have the currency, and you have the nickname. You never get to your chart and they tell you Canadian dollar. It is abbreviated CAD. So you need to understand, or you need to know, master the abbreviations. Now, these are the currencies, the major currencies. Now we have 8 major currency, and we have 7 major currency pairs. Now, what is a currency pair? I said before you do an exchange, before you will get to the bank, you want to do an exchange, you must have a currency. I want to exchange to get another currency. So if you want to exchange and get another currency, then it forms what we call a currency pair, and it's a combination of 2 different currencies. So if a currency pair appears, maybe Euro, USD, then this is what we call a quote, QUOTE. This is a code. So this is a code, Euro USD. And if you get on your chart, or if you get on MetaTrader 4, you will see actually this code. You will not see Euro USD. You will never see something like this. But you see EUR/USD. So this is a code. Then you have USD JPY, GBP USD, USD CHF, CHF Swiss francs, USD Canadian dollar, AUD USD, and these are the different codes. These are the different currency pairs. So as I said, we have 8 different currencies, but we have 7 different currency pairs. I mean major currencies. So we actually have a major currency and we have minor currency. We have major currency pairs and we have minor currency pairs. Take for example, a minor currency you can have a Mexican peso, MXN, then you have the ZAR, you have the rupee, and the rest. Those are minor currencies. Then for the currency pairs, you have the minor currency pairs. If you look at this thing carefully, in trading, you need to be very sensitive. So if you look at this thing carefully, your USD, it has all these major currency pairs, they have USD in it. So these are the major currency pairs. They can have a minor currency pair. And to have a minor currency pair, you can have maybe USD MXN. MXN is a minor currency pair. That is a Mexican peso. You can have a minor currency pair, Euro. You have Euro/JPY. This is a minor currency pair because there is no USD in it. You have GBP CHF. You have maybe CHF CAT. I don't know whether that pair exists, but this AUD CAT, AUD NZD. So these are the minor currency pairs. Now you discover that we have the major currency pairs. I have a minor currency pairs. On the MetaTrader 4, it is written FX. FX is Forex, FX major, and you have FX minor or FX crosses. So FX major, they are the major currency pairs. FX minor or FX crosses, those are the minor currency pairs. So you need to understand that. Now, if you get on your chart, on what we call a candlestick chart, you see a pair, maybe Euro USD. This is the introduction. Please pay attention to this. You see a major currency pairs, maybe Euro USD, and you see the value actually increasing. If the value is increasing, what does this thing mean? It means the value, the strength of Euro is higher than the strength of USD. If you see it actually dropping, then it means the strength of Euro is lower than the strength of USD. So USD is stronger than Euro, and you see it dropping. Now, let me just get there. I don't know whether I got this thing. Let me just get to this. Okay, this is the chart, and on this chart, the pair is Euro. This is GBP USD. So throughout this thing, we'll be trying to analyze this chart to get the direction. Remember what I said? If you know that the value of a currency is supposed to increase, if you buy that currency, you make money. So this is the chart. Now you see, this is the value. So this is a point, and it is down. Since this thing is down, then what does it mean? It means the value or the exchange rate of GBP is higher than the exchange rate of.
I don't know what I'm going to pack for 8 minutes.
It means the value of GBP is higher than the value of USD, and that is why you see this move down. So if the move is up, maybe you get back and you see the move is up, then it means the value of or the strength of USD is higher than the strength of GBP. Now this is one situation. Let me get another one. The dollar has been really powerful.
Temperature.
So you see this move, this is actually an upward move. So it tells you the value of USD is higher than the value of the strength of JPY. That is why you see an upward move. So it is really, really important for you to understand all this. Now, if you get there, the market moves. And when the market moves, it moves because of a particular set of persons. And that is what we call market participant. You cannot just sit and see the market moving or see the market dropping. The market will only move because of a group of persons. And that is what we call market participant. Now, what is market participant? There are the market movers, and there are just 3 participants in the market. We have the bank, we have the government, and we have an organization. So these are the main participants that moves the forex market. Remember, the exchange rate of a country keeps fluctuating because of the economic activity of that country. So when the economic activity of that country increases or it drops, then the exchange rate will either increase or drop. So when you hear about maybe unemployment increasing, then you know it may drop. Now, let's start with the first, the bank. The bank is actually the pivot in which all the transactions are done. So in the absence of a bank, then the market may not actually move. So in essence, what am I saying? If the banks are closed, then you get in and start trading, you need to be very, very careful. So if you get on, maybe there's what we call fundamental news. If you get there and you see the banks are closed, or we have bank international public holidays, means bank, you see bank holidays, then you need to be very careful. If you have maybe this International Labor Day or other some crucial holidays and you are trading, you may be trading with noise. And if the banks are open, then you have good moves in the market. So the forex market is open from Monday to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The market is closed. It's really important. And if the banks are open and you get good moves in the market, then it therefore means, please, if you
say you don't want to lose me.
Please, if there's noise, so you can just mute yourself, please. So if the bank is open, then we have good moves, meaning if the banks are closed, there is no move or very slow moves. In essence, what am I saying? December, do not trade in December. If you like, you listen. If you want to experience it, you trade in December and see what happens. Do not trade in December. These are things that people will not tell you. And the reason is simple. In December, we have bank holidays, we have the trading firms that go on vacation. So if you are trading with your fellow retail traders. We are retail traders. And at the end of the day, you lost money. I always do this. I like to share experience. I told this thing to one of my students, I think about 2 years ago. I told him, he did not listen. December, he blew 2 accounts. I mean, he lost account, blew 2 accounts from good money to 0. And he came back in the group and cautioned people, do not go against what we always say. So please, December, if you are trading in December, then you should know what you are doing. Now, the next participant is the government. The government influences the forex market in so many ways. We'll get to fundamental, then I'll explain detailedly, but I'll just explain one. Now, the government influences the forex market in what we call indirect method. In every country, there's what we call a central bank. And the central bank actually manages the economy of that country. And they can manage it in so many ways. They can increase or reduce the interest rate. They can increase or reduce the inflation level, and they can increase or reduce so many things, so many unemployment rate and the rest. So when they increase it or reduce it, then they influence the exchange rate of that country. Take, for example, you have what we call NFP in the US, and that is non-farm payroll. So if they increase the interest rate, then if they increase the interest rate, it means the investors there will actually run away because the interest rate will be too high and the investors may not want to invest, or people may not want to invest in that country. So when they increase it, then you see the economic activity will drop. If they reduce it, then it will increase, the investors will get into the country, the unemployment rate will reduce, and that is actually how the government influences that. The second method is the government can influence this through buying of their own currency. There are times that the government buy back their own currency. So in essence, in countries like the US, you may never see the exchange rate goes down to a certain level. I've never seen the exchange rate goes below 400. I've never, even to 400, I've never seen at 400, because the government has so many policies that they do that. Now, that is it. Then the third participant is the organization. This is actually a temporary move. So it's not a long-term move, but it is temporary. Take, for example, Bill Gates Foundation just get in and they say they want to help Cameroon, or they want to help Russia, or they want to help these countries in war. And if they give money to that country, then you see the exchange rate, it goes up very fast, and after that, it goes back down to the initial price. I am explaining this because if that happens on your chart, then you should be patient. You need to be emotionally stable before you can trade Forex. So if that happens, then fine, you just know that is the move and he has to go back in the opposite direction after some time. Now, that is the organization, and that is how organization influence the Forex market. Then the last thing is you can have disaster, natural disaster or man-made disaster. Now, there is war in Ukraine. And since there's war in Ukraine, then you know that thing has affected almost all the countries in the world. I mean, almost all. In Cameroon, they are suffering. In US, they are suffering. In other countries, in Britain, they are suffering. In other countries, they are suffering. Because, take, for example, Russia supplies maybe gas to US. Ukraine supplies maybe foodstuff, flour, wheat flour, and the rest to Cameroon and other countries in Nigeria and so many other countries. So when they do that, then the economic activity of that country drops. And if it drops, then they are unable to produce maybe their wheat flour. And if they are unable to produce the wheat flour, then it affects Cameroon because Cameroon is not able to buy the wheat flour, and the bakeries will reduce the number of workers that they have. So at the end of the day, it affects almost all the countries. So you can have a natural disaster that affects that, or man-made disaster. You get maybe to South Africa, this flood and the rest that actually killed, I think, about 200 persons. It will affect the exchange rate of that currency. It's simple. That is a natural disaster. Natural disaster like COVID-19, it will affect too. So you need to understand all this. And that is why we have a pandemic like COVID-19 and everybody was indoor. Then at that time when COVID-19 was at a peak, we could not even trade the Forex market. So that is it. Now, the next is trading time and trading session. I explained that the Forex market is open from Monday to Friday, but within Monday and Friday, you don't trade all the time. So there are periods that you can trade and there are periods that you need to stay away from the market, though the market is open. Now, we have 4 different sessions. We have the London session, we have the London session, we have the New York session, we have the Tokyo session, and we have the Sydney session. Those are the 4 different trading sessions that we can have. Now, the London session opens, I'm talking with respect to Cameroon time, it opens at 8 and closes at 8 a.m. It means we have just about 1 hour, 28 minutes for the market to open. Now, the London session opens at 8 and it closes at 5. The New York session opens at 1 and it closes at about 1 closes at about 9. So 1 p.m. please, and closes at about 9 p.m. So this is the session, the London session. You see, this is it. I sent this PowerPoint so you can go back and you just check. This is the London session. This is the New York session. So it opens at 1 and closes at 10. Our Cameroon time is UTC +1. So we have +1 here. So it opens at 1 and closes at 10. Then this one opens at 10 and closes at about 8. The Sydney session, then the Tokyo session opens at 12 and it closes at about 10 too. This is it. So it closes at 10. So you have this PowerPoint, so just go and check. But the sessions that I concentrate more on are the London session and the New York session. So this session has what we call liquidity within that session. The London session has a liquidity, and the liquidity is about 60 to 70%. The New York session has liquidity of maybe 15 to 25%. Then the Sydney and the Tokyo session, they have liquidity of less than 10%. What is liquidity? Liquidity is the total amount of money in the market. So when the London session opens, then there is enough money in the market. So in essence, what you see good moves in the market when the London session opens. The New York session opens, you see good moves. But when these 2 sessions are open, you may not see good moves. So I always measure things to form what we call the Asian session. So in essence, there are 5 different sessions. The last session is the Frankfurt session, but it carries less than 0.00 something, 0.001%. That is why I always ignore that. And most often the pairs there are the minor pairs. I mean, really, really funny pairs. But I always categorize this thing into three. You have the London session, you have the New York session, and you have the Asian session. These are the three main sessions. Now, the Asian session, most often you see good moves from 1 a.m. So London session from 8 to 5, the New York session from 1 to 10, and the Asian session from 1 a.m. So this one is 1 p.m. Please understand this, 1 p.m. and this Asian session 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you want to trade Asian session, then you should be ready to stay up till 1 a.m. I mean in the morning. Now, these are the different sessions. Here you will see this is the London session, and these are the currencies that you can trade during the London session. This is the Asian session, and these are the currencies. So you have the JPY, the AUD, the NZD. Then the New York session, you have the USD and the CAD, United States dollar and the Canadian dollar. I said these are currencies that you can trade within that session. Now, if you have a currency, maybe the Great Britain pound and the Japanese yen, we have these two currencies. You have this currency pair, Great Britain pound and the Japanese yen. Will you trade this currency pair? Will you trade this pair during the London session, or will you trade them during the Asian session? That is a question that you need to answer. So it means during the London session, the pairs, this pair, GBP, JPY will be trending, so it may be buying up, and during the Asian session, it will be buying up. So which session is best for you to trade? You can trade it during the London session, and you can trade it during the Asian session. But remember what I said about liquidity. Liquidity is higher during the London session. So during the London session, if you get this pair, you see good moves during the London session as compared to the Asian session. So that is it. Now, there is what we call overlap. Each session takes 8 hours to go through. Now, there's what we call overlap. And overlap means during the London session, if you look here, this is a London session. This is a London session. It starts at 8 and it closes at 5. Or let's say 6. UTC plus 1, let's take 6. Now, if it closes at 6, then the Asian session or the New York session starts at 1. This is 1 p.m. and it closes at 10. Now, between 1 and 5, you see there's an overlap. So this session between this time overlaps with this New York session. And if these two sessions overlap, then this is a time that you see very good moves in the market. So in essence, from this 1 to maybe 12, then you see moves in the market, and you actually just be moving maybe one position. And at 1 a.m., then you see very good moves. I mean, very fast move in the market. So when you place a trade to buy a currency or sell a currency, you need to be very patient and wait for the move. If you're not patient, you will not be able to trade Forex, because between 8 and 12, you may see the move dancing in one position, and at 1, you see a very, very long move. I mean, really, really fast move. So that is it, and that is it for trading session and trading time. Now we'll do this, and this is the last part, forms of trade. So there are just two kinds of trades that you can, or two kinds of traders that you can actually trade. We have what we call fundamental traders, and we have technical traders. Fundamental traders, they trade based on news only. Technical traders, they do what we call analysis, and they trade based on that analysis. What has been happening will keep happening. So if you get on your chart and you see the previous move, from what you see from the previous move, you can get a prediction of what will happen. Those are technical traders. Fundamental traders, they just go and they see, they get news event. You can get a news event on what we call on websites. It doesn't mean it should be on your TV set for the whole day. Forexfactory.com, that is where we get news events. They give news events for the whole week. Or investing.com, but I'm very used to forexfactory.com. Go there, you get news, and you can trade. Now, fundamental traders, I call them all or nothing law traders, because if you get on your chart, or if you want to trade, you place a trade, there are two possibilities. You may lose at least 50% of your account if you place a trade, or you can, that's between 50% and 100% within a very short time. We can make maybe 50%, 100%, even 200% within a very short time. So those are risk takers. I don't tell me news. So if I get in and I see a news, maybe NFP, non-farm payroll, or I get maybe FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, or Federal Reserve, or on employment rates, then I stay me out of the market. It's simple. If you decide to trade news, then you should understand what you are doing. So I'm a technical trader. Now, types of Forex traders, there are 4 different kinds of Forex traders. And some people say, I cannot trade because of this, I cannot trade because I don't have time. If you are a trader, if you decide to trade, you will have time to trade, because there are 4 different kinds of Forex trader. Now, the first one, they are scalpers. Scalpers are people that get into the market several times per day. So they may place maybe 50 trade, 100 trade per day. They just get in, make very small profit and they run away. Sit, get another opportunity, get in, make small profit and run away. So scalpers, if you want to be a scalper, then you need to sit on your computer set for the whole day. Scalpers, if you are not careful, when you start scalping, then you may develop high blood pressure within less than 1 year. This is a simple reason. Scalpers sit and babysit their trade. So when they place a trade, they sit and watch that trade. And if you do that for 2 months, 3 months, the emotion is too much. If you're not careful, you develop high blood pressure. Now, swing traders are those that get into the market and they place the trade and let the trade go for some days. You can leave the trade maybe for 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. Those are swing traders. So in essence, if you don't have time, then you should start thinking of being trading as a swing trader, meaning you can take 2 hours, 3 hours to do analysis, then you get in, you place a trade and let it go for 1 week. Then intraday traders, those are people that trade for days. So they place a trade and they don't keep it overnight. Within 1 day, they close the trade. Then the last kind of traders, they are the position traders that place their trade and they leave it for months. There are some people that place their trade and they leave it even for 1 year. So these are the 4 different kinds of traders. You choose the kind of trader that you want. Now, there is no clear cut between these traders, please. Meaning you cannot sit and say, I am a swing trader, I sit and just trade only swing. You cannot say, I am a scalper, I just sit and trade just scalp. Now, there are times that you place a trade as a day trader, and the trade takes 1 hour, you should get to the target. So there is no clear cut, meaning if you see a good opportunity, you can get in. If you have the conditions met, then you can get in, but you are a swing trader, so you mostly concentrate on swing trading, because scalping is completely different. If you want to scalp, it has a way that it is being done. Swing trader, they have a way that they do it. If you start technical analysis maybe on Friday, then I think you understand more about this. So these are the 4 different kinds of traders. I don't know, is there any question? Because I think we are done. We'll do terminologies used in Forex maybe tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, so we'll do it on Thursday. And I think on Friday we may start technical analysis. So I don't know, is there any question? Any question?
No, sir, I don't have any questions, sir. Thank you for the explicit explanation. Thank you so much.
Okay, so if there's no question, then I think we are done for today. Please, you need to read. I sent those books, so you need to read. Take your time and you read, you do some research too. When I explain all this, then you need to get back and do it within that day. It is really important. This thing is actually a series. So some people, they teach after that before they get into practicals. I don't do that. When I teach, we do the practicals immediately. So we'll get into technical analysis. That is actually what we will do. Theory and the practicals immediately. Because there are things that if you forget,